But we'll get into the first one here from Kyle380 saying, one of the biggest problems at Tottenham is not promoting youth quick enough. We rely too much on signing instead of loaning out our youth players to clubs that don't regularly select them. What do you reckon about that?
That has been a problem we've been talking about for a long time. About
is it an unpopular opinion though?
It's not an unpopular. It's probably a popular opinion. It's an opinion that a lot of people agree with. We don't promote youth quick enough. A lot of youth players have been able to leave and get opportunities elsewhere and flourish elsewhere. You look at the likes of Madueke, Marcus Edwards. Maybe they could have done with a few more first team opportunities. But it looks like we're not saying we're definitely rectifying it straight away because we have to see how it pans out. But obviously Phillips is now going to be our backup centre-back. Dorrington hopefully will get a few more opportunities. You've got Ollie Skip, who's part of the first team. Obviously, Harry Kane was our best ever youth player. He's obviously left, but I think under Ange, he will give youth players a few more opportunities. So let's hope that gets rectified. But I do think that we've got this amazing training centre. Like we've got great facilities. We always talk about our youth doing well and stuff like that. And it never seems to be a proper pipeline. So I hope, look, to be honest, from Levy's point of view, there is no better solution than promoting youth in terms of like saving money and creating your own players. So obviously he would love to do that. Maybe he feels like, or maybe the management feels like we've never had youth players who are good enough to be first team, but hopefully that's starting to change.
Yeah, I think so. And you always like look at it like through the years. Spurs have always had like, or like us as Spurs fans have always thought that we've had like gems in the youth academy coming through, and it's never really kind of materialized like that. I mean, under Pochettino, we had a few of the youth academy come into the first team, but they all kind of moved on apart from Harry Kane, and now Harry Winks has finally moved on. But it does seem that there's a lot of massive talents in the youth academy at the moment. When you're looking at the likes of Jamie Donnelly, Sunsot Bell, Dorrington, I mean, there's many more as well to talk about. Will Lancashire. I mean, there seems to be quite a Dane Scarlett, obviously. There seems to be a lot, and Alfie Devine. There seems to be a lot coming through at the moment. So hopefully we can, at this time, utilize them because we've seen that has to been a major failing of the past for sure.
Yeah.
Go on, what's the next one?
Next one is from Ellie the Actor. He says, at the authentic Ellie, Andros Townsend would have flourished in this system. That is definitely an unpopular opinion because I don't think a lot of people still want Andros Townsend around. He would flourish in this system.
I think like when you're looking at it with Andros Townsend, I think he's got attributes that could suit the system. He's fast, he's direct. But essentially, every time Andros Townsend got anywhere near the box or outside the box, he always used to do a snapshot, and he used to go miles off the bar, over the bar. I mean, he was just way too rash in his decision making in terms of when he took his shots and when he got his crosses in and stuff like that. I do think like the direct kind of play that he had could suit the system. But I just think his quality was a bit too low, to be honest.
Yeah, I reckon he would enjoy playing in the system because he would get a lot of one-on-one opportunities up against fullbacks. He loves running at fullbacks, Andros Townsend, and I feel like in his time in the Premier League, he didn't get enough opportunities to do that with the teams he played for, very much defensive teams after he left Spurs. So maybe he would have enjoyed it, but I still don't know if he would have thrived under it. Will we see Andros Townsend getting loads of goals and assists in this system?
No, but
probably
look,
not.
At the end of the day, right, his attitude wasn't right, Andros Townsend. He left the club because he had a falling out with Pochettino and the management there because of lack of playing time. And if anything like that had crept in under Ange Postecoglou, he'd been the first one out the door as well. So you got to take that into account. Let's move on to the next one from Matthew Ruta saying Emerson Royale is not a right back. He's a 6.
Wow. Backup 6 to Basuma.
Now
Emerson
that is
Royale.
an unpopular opinion.
I don't know. I don't know if he could play that role. I think defensively, off the ball, I don't think he could make the recoveries like Basuma can, but would he be able to fill in that kind of role? To be fair, actually, there's a lot more overlap between fullback and centre mid than you think. Like a lot of fullbacks and centre mid used to interchange back in the day. But obviously they're higher quality players like Lahm and Kimmich and people like that. I don't think Emerson has the ability on the ball to be a 6. You need to be very composed. You need to have a good ability on the ball as well. And he could keep it simple, but whether he has the ability to progress the ball like we need a 6 to do, I don't think so.
when you're looking at the number 6 in Yves Bissouma right now, and look how much quality, look how press resistant he is, look how impossible it is to get the ball off him. Look at that shift that he does every time a player comes to him. You just don't know whether he's going left, right, down the middle. I mean, Emerson Royale can't do any of those things, to be honest. And I think like it's fair to say that, you know, he's not a right back in the system, but I think he's more a centre back than a number 6, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with that. I actually think he potentially could fill in for the odd game at centre back. I think he's got the right attributes for that, because you still need to be good on the ball, but you don't need to be as good at the ball as you do in the number 6. So I think that's positive, but I think he'd be a bit of a disaster in the number 6 position, to be honest.
All right,
sorry, mate. Kim Andrew says, we were right not to sign another centre-back. Van de Ven has proven he's a starter. We don't have enough games to have a third quality centre-back wasted on the bench and possibly disrupting the mood. In Phillips and Dorrington, we have 2 very talented understudies hungry for opportunities.
Look, I get what you're saying. I really do get what you're saying. And it was something I was alluding to earlier on in the window when we had that debate about Van de Ven, Tapsoba, or both. And I was saying, look, I don't think it's realistic to get both because they're just too good. Both of them are too good, and one of them ain't going to sit on the bench. But having said that, we could have easily brought in like a Tosin Adarabioyo, someone that maybe is up and coming, that wants to make a name for himself, and there will be opportunities that will come their way. You know, I know we went out the Carabao Cup early, but obviously that was never the plan. We've got FA Cup football to come, and what happens if a player gets injured? I just feel like putting your trust in an 18-year-old Ashley Phillips is just running too much of a risk, in my opinion. And I feel like, yeah, he might have qualities about him, but I think it's just putting a bit too much pressure on the young lad. And he's just 18 years old at the end of the day. And as a centre-back in the Premier League, I can't remember the last centre-back in the Premier League that has made an impact at 18 years old. Centre-backs usually develop later on in their career at a later stage to wingers and strikers and maybe even midfielders. So I just think it's way too much risk, and I think we've left ourselves short in this coming season.
Yeah, if you're telling me, if it was a situation, let's say we have Richarlison, we didn't sign a striker because we thought Dane Scarlett can be our backup, and I'm like, and people are saying, oh, it's good, we're giving Dane Scarlett opportunities. I would actually agree with that. I think that would be a good situation because a young striker getting opportunities in the first team and allowing himself that experience. I think when you're a striker, you don't have that responsibility as much as you do when you're a defender to keep things to keep things strong and stable at the back, and you have to have a lot of experience to know how to manage Premier League forwards. Premier League, like when you're a striker or an attacking player, it's all about confidence and it's all about taking risks, but you can't take risks when you're a centre back. You have to keep your concentration 100%, and I don't want a situation where we're forced to play Ashley Phillips because of injuries, and then he comes in and he's just not ready. Maybe he's getting bullied a bit, or maybe he's just lacking a bit of experience in that position, and it kills his confidence. I would hate that to be the situation, and that's what we're risking in this situation, in my opinion. I don't think a centre-back is a position where you chuck in an 18-year-old and have him, especially, it's one thing if Ashley Phillips had like maybe played a whole season for Blackburn last season as their number 1 centre-back. Maybe I'd give it a bit more credence, but he's had a handful of games for Blackburn last season, albeit he looked impressive, but it's still only a handful of games, and he's only 18. You can't then, on the back of that, just trust him as a Premier League team to be your centre-back. I think that's way too much pressure to put on a kid at 18. And maybe he can handle it. And if he can handle it, he's 1 in a million. We're talking about he's a generational talent. If he can handle that pressure at 18 and still be good, then fair enough. But, I mean, to rely on him being 1 in a million is a bit too much pressure.
Yeah, but obviously they know more than us seeing him in the training ground. But, like, if they really believed that he was going to be part of the first team and second choice to the first to Romero and Van de Ven, then surely we would have seen him more in pre-season. Like, I don't get why we saw Eric Dyer in pre-season. We saw Davinson Sanchez in pre-season. If Ashley Phillips, if the plan was always to have Ashley Phillips as the backup.
Or that Carabao Cup game. If he's ready, if you're telling me, oh, look, we have to give him a chance and he's ready to play, so put him in the Carabao Cup if you're resting players and you're seeing new players. Ange said, how can I judge players who haven't seen them play? And yet he doesn't put Phillips in the Carabao Cup team. So if Ange says he can't judge him unless you've seen him, how can I judge? Exactly. And how can I trust it? Yeah. So I just think it's a situation that's been like kind of forced upon us, and I think it's down to bad planning, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally. Let's move on. Next one is from Jaeger, and it's I don't know if you're going to like this one, Sim. When the Spurs Go Marching In is the worst song in the Premier League.
He's definitely been on the Jaegers, that's for sure, without opinion. Come on. When the whole South Stand is belting out "Oh When the Spurs" in that long drawn out song, I love it when everyone's got the hands up, and I think it gives me goosebumps when the Spurs fans get it right. You know what I mean? In a big game,
the Man United game.
Man United. Remember,
how good was it?
That clip I've seen a million times of before the Ajax game at home. I've seen that clip so many times of when the players are coming out the tunnel and the South Stand is just bellowing out. Yeah. I don't know how you can watch those clips and say that's the worst.
Shivers up your spine.
Yeah, I don't know how you can watch that and think that's the worst chant in the Premier League.
I do think, though, we're probably like the biggest pirates in the Premier League, though, in terms of stealing chants.
Look, have you not heard the chant, Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea? Oh, you think it's worse than that? Come on.
I would say, though, on "Oh When the Spurs," I like it as a chant, but I just feel like we've overused it over the years. And I remember saying to you on a number of times, I think it was when Nuno was our manager, when maybe it was even Conte, but every time we went to the Spurs stadium, I remember counting, like every single song was "Oh When the Spurs Go Marching In." That was it. It was either "Oh When the Spurs Go Marching In" or "Come On You Spurs." That was literally it for a while. So now I think it's good. We've got a massive variation of different kind of songs that are coming out at games, at away games especially. All these new kind of very inventive songs. I'm loving it. But I kind of agree when it's like the only song that we use, it gets very frustrating. But when we use it, maybe just once a game or twice a game, I think it's a really good song, and it sends shivers up my spine when everyone's got it at full pelt.
Yeah, I think the need for new songs is a different matter than that song in particular being bad. I think it's a great tune. I love it. It's a banger, I would say. It's an absolute banger. So don't, Jaeger, you need. I want to see you in that South Stand bellowing out when everyone else is there. Come on.
I'm sure Southampton fans think the same as well.
I'm sure they do. But we do it better.
Go on.
Next one is from Aaron Goldstein. And he says, as an Arsenal fan who tries to be neutral, Daniel Levy has only made one significant error in his Tottenham tenure, not spending in the summer of 2019. Other than that, he's been a brilliant chairman. One error. I mean, you're... I can see you're an Arsenal fan, I think, from that opinion, because I don't think you know the history of Daniel Levy.
Man. Aaron Goldstein. I like you very much, Aaron, but this is a really bad take. A really bad take. I mean, when you're talking about that period where he didn't make signings, yes, that was a massive, massive, massive error. But from then until now, I mean, I think he's got a lot more wrong than he's got right, and I can't really remember too much that he's got right. I mean, bringing in Paratici was the right move, and I think recruitment has got a lot better since then. But the recruitment before Paratici came in was absolutely shocking. Just all you have to do is look at our most record signings. We did a tier list the other day of our 20 most expensive signings, and I think like 5 or 6 of them were in 1-star signing. And if that's not an indictment of Daniel Levy and the way he's run this club and the people he's put in charge of recruitment and everything like that, I mean, I don't know what is. I mean, you look at the Super League situation as well. You look at furloughing staff over COVID and stuff like that. I mean, there are just countless amounts of terrible decisions being made by Daniel Levy in the hierarchy. It's unbelievable. And you're talking about a club that was pushing on for league titles, getting to Champions League football, to drop dramatically to finishing 8th place in the table and stuff like that. You're talking about going from Pochettino style football to going to Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, Nuno Espirito Santo, like completely changing philosophies, not knowing what you want out of this football club. I mean, the decisions pretty much couldn't have got worse to what Daniel Levy has done. So I think that's a really bad take.
I completely agree with everything you're saying. Yes, he's done some great things for the club. I mean, we are a big club now. Whatever people want to say, you look at. I think it's Tottenham have become a bigger club worldwide. We've got a marvelous stadium. Facilities are great. We are a club now that can attract a Conte and a Mourinho to come, and that is something to say for what Levy has built. But at the end of the day, we're a football club, and the footballing decisions have been awful for a long, long time at this football club, especially since the Pochettino era. And I think Daniel Levy hasn't known what direction to go in. But the frustrating thing for me is like he goes in a direction, but he doesn't fully commit to that direction, and he'll half-ass the project. And he'll get Mourinho, but he'll give him Eric Dyer and at centre back. And same with Conte, he'll bring him in, but he won't just fully commit to the Conte project. He'll just kind of half-ass it and give him some things, but not everything. And the tensions will grow between him and the manager. And like, yeah, if you're going to bring in a winner, then you have to match that kind of manager with the kind of players you're bringing in, and we just didn't do that. And look how quickly it's changed with just an attacking manager. It's changed, so the mood has changed so quickly at Spurs, and he could have done this 4 years ago. You know what I mean? He didn't have to go for all these different projects without fully committing to it. If this is what we should be at, like, he shouldn't have pretended to be a club that we're not. And I think at the end of the day, he's got to take a lot of responsibility. Now, hopefully things are changing. Obviously, hopefully he's taking more of a step back from footballing matters, and he's got a manager in. We're apparently going to appoint a director of football. So I'm hoping and praying things are changing, but there's been so many false dawns when it comes to Daniel Levy.
How many times do we sit here and say we hope and pray things are going to change? We've sat here probably pretty much since the start of the channel, or maybe 2 years into the channel, or something like that, saying the exact same things. And sometimes you just got to call a spade a spade. And,
but to be fair, you pointed
spots.
Out the other day, like, our net spend since 2019 is fairly high.
Yeah,
it's not like we're not spending at all.
Yeah,
and that it wasn't like that before the stadium. So people saying, "Where's the stadium money?" Like, we are spending more since we moved into the stadium.
We're on about a parity in the last 5 years to Arsenal's net spend.
Yeah, depends what period you take it from. But if you take it from 2019, then yeah, we're near the same. Arsenal's still a bit more, but so like we are definitely, the spending has, I think, increased. So I don't think you could criticize him too much with that. But I just think a lot of the time he doesn't really know how to manage the football philosophy side of things.
For me, it's the micromanagement on every little facet of the football club. Just let the football people run the football things, and you just concentrate on your business side of things. Keep building and gentrifying the area of Tottenham and bringing in money through concerts and all that kind of stuff. But let the football people do what they know best. You know what I mean? You're not a football man.
Yeah, he's gone too big for his boots when it comes to that kind of stuff.
All right, let's move on to the next one from Deep Coglo saying, Lamela would have been worth £100 million plus if it weren't for injuries.
Oh, in this market, maybe. Potentially. I love Lamela, and I always thought he never really fulfilled his potential at Spurs, and I think he probably had more quality than we were ever able to see. And I think with those Rabona goals, we probably saw that. But £100 million pound player, you're saying maybe he could have been like, I guess what depends on market you're talking about. But if you're talking about today's market, when like people like Moises Caicedo are going for 100 million, then maybe you have a case. If he would have stayed free of injury, could he have been that? But like if you're talking about back, Bale went for like near 100 million, and like I don't think he was ever going to be as good as Bale, even if he stayed in free from injury. So I don't know if he ever would have hit that, but I think he could have been a much better player if he stayed from injuries, stayed free.
Yeah, I mean, I love Lamela, I really do, and I'm going to watch that Sevilla Arsenal game this year with a keen eye. I know he's going to be well up for that one.
Put your life savings on Lamela to be booked in that game.
Both legs, in both legs, whether he starts or not, he's getting booked 100%. But I do think injuries definitely massively held him back at Tottenham. I don't think that's a secret or anything like that. But he was just always too inconsistent, even when he was fit, to be honest. But I do think that when we sold him and brought in Brian Hill, it was the wrong move at the time. And I felt like Conte really could have got a lot out of Lamela and could have had a big use for him, and definitely more of a use than he had for Brian Hill, that's for sure.
100%. Yeah, a lot more physical player. Next up, we got Stephen Gimarino. He says, we never gave Joe Rodon a fair chance, and if we did, he'll be a very good player. I mean, I definitely agree with the first part. Yeah.
The first part's completely true, that we never gave him a fair crack at the whip. But to say that he could be a very good player for us, I mean, maybe under Jose Mourinho or Antonio Conte, I think he's more their style defenders, but definitely not now under Ange Postecoglou when we need high line ball playing midfielders. I think you see it for Wales. He plays really well for Wales in a very defensive system and a low block system where he just bats the balls away, wins his aerial duels and stuff like that. But I think now under Ange and the way we like to play, I just don't think he's suited.
Yeah, I think he's a good penalty box defender, and I think he's good at that side of the game, and he's clearly tall and strong, and he's difficult to play against, but he's not a defender now that I think is suited to how we want to play. So as much as I agree we didn't give him a fair chance, I don't think he was. There's probably a reason we never gave him a fair chance as well. I just don't think he was ever of the required quality to really be a starter in our team.
Yeah, agreed. But just before we move on with the rest of the tweets, let's check in on the super chats. First one from Nicholas Walker saying, unpopular opinion, Son will be a better centre forward than Harry Kane.
I don't agree. I love Son, and I think he could be a brilliant centre forward, and he can maybe even be one of the best centre forwards in the league. I think he can really be that good. I love him. He can't be better than Kane, and not at that job, in my opinion, because Kane is just an unbelievable all-round player, and Son is potentially even more clinical than him. But I just think all the facets that Kane has. Son is never going to be like as strong as Kane. He's never going to have that aerial ability. And then when it comes to being in front of goal, if anything, they're just as clinical as each other. They're probably both pretty two-footed as well. Son is faster, I'll give him that, but I think Kane is going to be better always in that position, in my opinion.
Look, at the end of the day, Harry Kane, at this current moment in time, is probably the best number 9 in world football. You got to say that, and it's very hard. How can you compare someone to the best number 9 in world football?
Yeah.
Heung-min Son is obviously an unbelievable player in his own right, but I don't think he can come close to a Harry Kane as a number 9. But what I would say is I actually think the attributes that Son has is actually more suited to a Postecoglou system. But having said that as well, because Harry Kane is so good that he'll make any system work for himself, and he'll get bundles of goals in whatever system he plays at, and he would probably get more goals than Sonny would in this system. But I just feel like the attributes that both players have, with the speed that Son has, with his willingness to press as well from the front, I just feel like he could be more suited in himself to the Ange system, but that doesn't take away anything from what Kane could give us.
Potentially, I mean, he'll probably be a bit better at pressing because he's faster, and also when teams press us, obviously Son has more of ability to run in behind. But I just think Kane is so good that he'll as you say, he'll make it work, and he'll make it fit. He'll make the system fit himself better than Sonny would, in my opinion, just because of his quality. So. I'd love to have Kane here still, but it is what it is. I'm backing Sonny to be our big goal scorer this season. I think he could easily get a bucket load of goals for me. So I'm not worried about Sonny up front at all.
What are you expecting output from Sonny this season?
Minimum 15 Premier League goals, minimum. 100%. If he's going to play the number 9 now, if that's going to be his position, if you would have told me if he's out left, I wouldn't say 15. I would say probably just try and get double figures. But I think up front, if he's going to be a number 9, he has to get to. I think he can get to 15 easy.
But if he was out wide, you'd want to see a lot more assists coming from him. But if it is number 9. Let's say maybe it's a hybrid of both all season. He's out the left sometimes and out 9. I do want to see at least 20 goal contributions coming from him, to be honest.
Next one, we read in the super chat.
Yeah.
Nicholas Walker says, unpopular opinion, Poch was worse manager than Redknapp. He's only remembered because of a lucky offside against Man City and Mora's second half hat-trick in the Champions League.
Excuse me. What is that all
Nicholas
about?
Walker.
Seriously.
Who raised you?
I like throwing shade at Pochettino because he's a Chelsea manager now, but I think that is a terrible take. Not only did that Champions League run was a bit fortuitous, I'm not going to lie. That's fine. But you got to look at what he did before that as well. You know, second place in the league, unbeaten at home all season in our last home year at White Hart Lane. Like, how can you forget stuff like that? That was our best season under Poch. That was better than the Champions League run, in my opinion. That showed what we could be like week in, week out. And we just came up against a monstrous Chelsea side that year in the Premier League. And if you actually look at the league, the previous 10 years, we would have won the league like 8 out of the last 10 seasons that year. Yes, I know Man City have taken it to a complete new level since then, but at the time, we were showing proper title form, and over the 2 years we were the best team in the league over that 2-year period. It's just so classic Tottenham that we won nothing over that 2-year period.
Yeah, look, that Champions League run was like the cherry on top of an amazing cake that like Pochettino had made throughout his whole time at Spurs. And that was like if we would have won the Champions League, that would have been like amazing reward for the amazing job he had done. But that wasn't all he was just about. He was so much more than just that Champions League run. He actually made us believe that this team could compete for a title. And we could actually be involved in those kind of conversations rather than just top 4 conversations. And we could be something more. And he brought on so many players like Dele and Eriksen and Kane and made them into the players they are today. So to suggest that if it wasn't for Moura's hat trick, we wouldn't have even remembered Poch is a bit much, in my opinion. Albeit, it is a massive shame that we never won anything during his time.
Massive.
But neither did Redknapp, so I don't even say Redknapp did a better job.
Yeah, and Poch got to more finals than Redknapp.
Yeah, for sure.
He got to the Carabao and he got to the Champions League.
Yeah, Redknapp got to 1 Carabao.
Yeah, and we lost both. So,
Yeah.
Next one from Sam Kang saying, I still think we should have bought Raya over Big Vic.
It's hard to... Yeah, I mean, I like Raya. And look, after 4 games, Vicario's been great. So I don't have any complaints. I don't want to sit here and say, like, I'm still reeling about that sale because I'm over it. I'm happy with Vicario. He's done really great. If you offer me the chance right now, would I swap Raya for Vicario? I mean, probably still, yeah, because I know more about Raya than I do about Vicario. But Vicario has been really great. He has, and he's proving a lot of people wrong. So you might have still said yes, but I don't want it to be seen to be complaining about Vicario because I think he's doing a great job. He might even turn out to be better than Raya. Who knows? Yeah,
where do you think Raya's head's at right now? Because obviously, at the beginning of the transfer window, everyone was like, yeah, Raya's coming. Raya only wants Spurs. And he was holding out for Spurs. We couldn't agree that deal with Brentford. Now he's obviously gone to Arsenal. He's sitting on the bench. Do you think he's looking at it, wishing that he did move to Tottenham in the end? Because now he is just like, at the moment, at this current moment in time, he's just a backup goalkeeper in Arsenal.
Probably. I mean, I don't think it was his choice. I think it was more down to Brentford as to why the move didn't pan out. I think if Brentford would have accepted our offer, he would be a Tottenham player. But look, Ramsdale's not having the best of time of it right now. So I think right now he might have an opportunity to take that number 1 spot. And if he does that, I think that was always his priority. If he was starting at Arsenal, I think he's been linked with Arsenal for a very long time. And clearly you saw that video with him and Arteta when he was getting announced and he seems so proud. So I don't think if he gets that number 1 spot, he's going to be having any regrets. But maybe at the end of the season, we'll see how many games he started. And if he's really not getting much game time, then I probably would be looking back at it thinking, I wish that Spurs move came off.
But either way, I mean, I'm delighted with Vicario. And I was one of his biggest critics when he was coming in, what I saw from pre-season, what I saw in that Brentford game. I was a massive critic, and I even went as far to say that this guy is going to be the flop of the season. But I'm already holding my hands up. I already issued apologies, and I already... I'm a massive fan of Big Vicario, so I can't be more happier than what he's shown so far, to be honest.